Hi, everyone. I am so excited to be here today. My name is Andy, and I have the special privilege of interviewing today Ernesto with the Grocery Outlet of San Ysidro. And he and his wife, Karina, own and run that store. And I had the privilege of going down there recently to see them, see their operation, meet some of the staff, and also interact with them there and the customers at the store. And I wanted to have him come in and talk about what they're doing at Grocery Outlet, their experience, their track record, because I learned some things when I was there. And also I just wanted to go a little bit more in depth for like who you guys are and how you are so community oriented. You talked to me really briefly about your service career as a veteran. And so I want to take time to go through all that today and kind of paint that picture of who you guys are and your impact in the community. Does that sound good?
Sounds great.
Awesome. So let's start at the perceived beginning of how you got here. You know, you had mentioned that you had service time in the military. Correct. So tell us about what did you do before the days of Grocery Outlet?
Before becoming an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah. So I was born and raised in El Centro, California, a small town, desert town, about 2 hours east of San Diego. There wasn't much there after high school, so I decided to join the military, United States Navy, and this is back in 2000. I wanted out so bad from Imperial, from where I was from, because there was really nothing for me there other than college. I wasn't ready for that, so mom and dad had to sign me into the military. I took them to the recruiting station, and they signed me up. And by 17,
you were 17, yeah.
And I got sent to boot camp. And this all happened back in 2000. And I was in San Diego. That's how I got to San Diego, stationed here for 5 years. And so, I was an E5 up to that point. And 20 years wasn't for me. So I decided to, come out of the military after that and kind of go into the civilian sector, I guess you could say.
Sure.
And began working and kind of saying, okay, all I knew was the military. Now I got to transition from military life to civilian life. And, I began to go, my first job, I think, was a furniture mover or a furniture installer, actually. And I would install furniture and things like that. And that kind of got going. And the leadership skills began fairly quickly, what I learned from the military. And I was like, well, I could do this, be a helper for so long, but I think I could do more. Within a couple of years, I was a distribution warehouse manager with the company. So, and that kind of began going. I was like, well, I can manage employees. What do I need to do to be more, do more? So college, I was like, well, military. I remember the GI Bill, and I went and talk to, I went to school and spoke to a counselor and kind of said, hey, how can I go back to college at age 30? And I was like, I have no idea, but, I've been out for about 12 years, So she's like, yeah, great. You got about a year under your belt of schooling, that transition from the military but you still got 3 more to get your bachelor's degree. She's like, what are you interested in? And, the first thing that I was like, entrepreneur, business management, this is what I do. This is what I do now. I was telling the counselor, I manage employees. I manage an inventory of $6 million. So I do a lot of responsibility. So now I'm trying to see if I can do it for me. And she's like, yeah, business management is one of and kind of spoke about that. And I was like, okay, we'll start there. And from 2010 all the way to 2013, I did my 3 years and I graduated and got my bachelor's degree. Wow. It was tough. I'm not gonna lie. I wanted to quit a couple times, and I was like, "Yikes!" Math. I remember how to write papers. Yeah. How to do presentations and do speeches, but it was fun. I learned a lot, and I got through it.
But I think those things, though, reveal character. Because when you have to have a little bit of grittiness about you to finish something that maybe you dislike, or I'm not going to go so far as to say distasteful, but it's just it's harder. Like maybe it's not as easy as the other things maybe you're just really skilled at or gifted in doing. But putting your nose to the grindstone, as they say, and forging through that reveals a lot. And those things I know help you on the other side of entrepreneurship when unexpected things happen or tough times come and you got to go, okay, we're going to have to just get through this then. The only way through it is through it.
That's absolutely correct. I mean, I knew if I wanted to get to the next step in life and you know, being an entrepreneur or owning a business, is I needed to go through school so I could understand, you know, the basics of, you know, running a business, knowing numbers and things like that. So it was a grind, and we got through that. And once I graduated, I think my first venture as an entrepreneur was a bread industry, having a couple routes in distributing bread.
Oh, really?
So that was my first venture in that, and it was great. It was fun, and I got a little taste of, you know, hard work and valuing.
Did you just drop a pun on me right there?
Yes, I did.
You're delivering bread, and you got a little taste of. Okay, I'm with you. All right, I'm paying attention.
Yeah. You know, it wasn't easy, and now you're on your own. You know, there's no. It's you.
It's you. Yeah. Things go right, it's on you. Things go bad, it's on you. Things are easy, it's on you. Things are hard, it's on you. Yeah.
So, you know, I had first time, you know, I had people working, you know, for me, and you had to take care of them, making sure that, you know, everything's okay, because they got families to take care of as well. So, and that was scary, you know, making sure that, you know, the business is going and being steady and all that.
Can I ask you a question right there?
Sure.
Because you're scratching the surface of something that I think a lot of people overlook or don't take into account when it comes to being an entrepreneur and a business owner, is that the people you work with and you work for, you're upstream of something that's downstream for them, which is caring for their family or caring about the things they care about and doing things that they want. Right. You know, what do you remember a specific time when when you became aware of like the magnitude of that responsibility?
Yes. So when growing through the bread routes, you know, going from, we had 5 bread routes, and then we had to shrink down to 3, and we had 5 employees, and I knew that we had to shrink. You know, during that time, it was a tough little phase there. I knew that, you know, speaking to, you know, having those tough conversations and having to let go of 2, and now I have 3, and I knew that, you know, hey, these people have families, so I have to make sure, you know, run an efficient business, but at the same time, making sure I take care of the people that are taking care of me, because without them, you know, the business doesn't operate. Yeah. You know, so those were, you know, things in the back of my mind that you're thinking of at the same time running that business, is making sure that they're okay as well.
Yeah, and part of the reason I mentioned it is because, you know, in this like age of, you know, sound bites on the internet, you know, it's easy to be like, oh yeah, corporations, they suck, they're all bad, all bosses, they're all bad, right. Leaders, they're not leaders, you know, and it's always the almighty dollar that matters. And, you know, I think that there's this skepticism of altruism nowadays, where people just that's just like some Hallmark stuff that doesn't really exist. People don't care. My boss doesn't listen, you know? Right. And so I wanted to make sure we were intentional about stopping there, because it is true for you as much as it's true for me. Like when I make choices that go out to the team, it impacts their family too. Correct. It's not just, I got to make a choice for what we're doing as an industry, but right. It has a ripple effect in all that too.
That is right. Any business decision, even now, I mean, we always look at the team as well. How is it going to affect them? You know, making sure that we don't make too many cuts, or you know, if we're, you know, cutting in labor or, you know, controlling inventories, you know, we got to look at the whole picture. I mean, the whole operation of it, and that's including the employees. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, you know, employees, without them, the business doesn't continue. You know.
Right. It's symbiotic.
Right. It goes hand in hand. They work together. If one thing is not working, then the other is not going to work. You know. You got 4 wheels running on the car. If one's flat, we got to stop. We got to fix it. So, but big impact is our employees, and we treat them like family at the end of the day.
I noticed that when I was visiting your store, and you know, you have very clear engagement with them, and I also noticed that you, and maybe this is my own words, but I also noticed that you and your wife Karina are very committed to the neighborhood. Like the customer, of course, has to be tended to. Like they have to have good customer service. I get that. Your prices have to be good. I get that. They have to like your product selection. I get that. Right. It seems like that's not good enough for you guys. It's like there's something else more. What's that all about?
So, you know, our customers, right? You know, part of the training when we get employees on board is the first thing I tell them, customer service. We got to go back to the basics. Customer service, treating our customers with the utmost respect. You know, as soon as they walk in, if they need a basket, helping them in any way that we can. it's going to keep them coming back because they're going to like the visit that they, when they came in, and they'll remember our employees. A lot of these customers come every day, a lot of our frequent shoppers, and they know some of these employees by their first name. Mm-hmm. Hey, Andy, how you doing today? How was your day? And it goes back and forth. And that's the relationship you start creating with your customers, with your neighborhood. And not only that, we also partner up with local nonprofits, and we donate food. Feeding America is one of our big ones. They help us get other nonprofits to come in. So we try not to throw away, food. We usually donate it so that some family or someone can have those foods and it don't get wasted at all.
Where's that come from though? Like you don't have to do that, right? I'm not advocating that people should, but you are choosing to do that. Where's that come from?
Growing up, I didn't grow with a whole lot. I wasn't, my father came from Mexico, undocumented, and he crossed the border, and he worked in the fields. And growing up, we didn't have much. And I knew, and this is something that I haven't spoken to you or told you about, but there was donations that my father would get from our neighbors. They said, these are donations from one of the retailers. Yeah. And there was like bread, donuts, and certain things, and he would bring it to the house. Like, these are donations. So that always instilled in my mind, say, donations, stores would put it outside, but it was still edible food. And, our neighbor would bring it and he would give it to my father, and my father would bring it to the table and say, hey, these are donations from the neighbor. And that always stayed with me, and now that I do it, and those are the things I think about it, there's foods that are not totally perishable that still have shelf life in it. Mm-hmm. And what can we do is, donations, and that's where it came from.
So one of the things I also have not had the opportunity to share with you yet is that one of the things that has, over the course of my years, helped me become a greater giver is being a humble recipient in times of need, where maybe where I couldn't make ends meet and people came to our aid. I'll think of a specific example back during the financial collapse of 2008 and 2009. Yeah. That was a terrible time for us as a family. I mean, there was a day where we were down to like our last diaper for our newborn, one scoop of formula, and a car full of like Costco groceries arrived. And I won't say who it was, but they brought to us because they had found out that we were silently suffering, and they brought everything we needed for us and for our kids. And a couple other friends, like they had paid up our electric bill so our electricity wouldn't be turned off. Wow. But all these things I'm mentioning because they helped pour into our giving nature that was already kind of there. Yeah. But by being on the receiving side of that, it opened up this whole new perspective of why we give, how we give, who we give, and the breadth to which we give. So when I heard you talk about some of those things at the store, I was like, I'm going to come back to this because that's personal to me too. Yeah. And I wanted to make sure I ask about it because I know that it's being driven and motivated by something else other than not just pure benevolence, because that pure benevolence is enough. Yeah. However, typically what happens is you ask the question and there's a story behind it.
Yeah, always, there's always a meaning to something. And, and to me, that was one of the things that I will never forget is donations, what they mean and what it means to those families that, there are a lot of families in our neighborhood that don't have food or don't have the funds to.
And they have to go to the food bank to get food. That's how they put food on the table is through those donations like that. Correct.
And, and sometimes another example, in the area that we are, there's people that, I guess we call it theft. And sometimes when that happens, instead of getting upset and getting all out, I pull them to the side. I was like, listen, if you're hungry, just come in here and ask me, and I can give it to you. Okay, there's no need to take it. Okay, I understand the situation that you're going through. And, if ever again that you need food, you come and ask me, and I'm open, and I will give you what you need to so that you can eat. And you know what? They would come back and say, hey, I appreciate the way you treated me, but I'm hungry today. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Those donations in the back are there. All I do is grab some of those donations and I give them so they can eat something. Yeah. So, it changes a lot of the ways how I operate as well and how I see people and perceive them. Instead of judging first, you kind of stand back and just watch them and be like, what are they going through? What is their mind thinking at, you know? But yeah, that's one example of how how we help as well as, and people.
Yeah, there's a lot of needs around you that are unknown and unspoken. They're unspoken because of sometimes shame or embarrassment,
Correct.
and then they're unknown because they're unspoken. You don't know, but what I'm recognizing about you, even in this conversation, and the other day when I first met you, was you listen very well and very acutely to try to find out what else is happening here. Like what else is connected to this thing we're talking about, or this thing I'm witnessing or observing and seeing? What else is going on? Because to me, I can gather that context really matters to you, and understanding what the motivator behind certain things is, in order to help then meet that need with some sort of solution.
Right. Every day, when I walk my store, other than watching my aisles and watching everyone and watching my customers, I kind of observe and kind of see, even with my employees as well, because sometimes you could tell when they're down, or if they need anything, it's just not about the store, the business, it's about everything, making sure when my employees walk in, if you could see them when they're looking down, or, and not being, how do you say, not paying attention to what they're doing, just kind of just there and, speaking to them, like, hey, what's going on? Are you okay today? Is there anything that you need? And, I have an open door policy. It's like, just remember, come into my office. If there's anything that I can help you with, or I can give suggestion, so be it, come in there. So it's not just, helping out in the community, but it's within as well.
Yeah.
And house help.
And you're describing a moment where you can see something out of character. Like this is abnormal attitude or countenance, if you will.
Yes.
Like, there's something off today. I'm just going to go ask. Like, that's good leadership right there.
Yes. Because it unbalances the day, the work.
Oh, it can completely change your dynamics.
Change everything within the store. It could be something just negative, and hey, let's make it something positive out of it. And basic question is, how you doing? What's going on? And just with that, it could change someone and have a better day. And, the flow of the store begins to get better. So every day I just, observe the store, but then again, observe my customers and my employees, so that everything is still going on track.
Yeah.
And the flow of the good vibes in the store, kind of, and that's the way I kind of see that.
Well, I think it's really neat that you have people that are your regulars, right? And but you can also reach people, you have your first timers that come, whatever, or just the people that are passing through and they stop in and they get whatever they need. So I think it's really neat that your staff and you recognize people that are there regularly and by name. There's like that kind of hometown, small town feel to that. That can get lost in really big stores. Like, look, if I go to Costco, they know my. You know why they know my name? Because it's on the card. That's the only reason.
Right.
And they don't have to ever remember it or ever think about it. They don't have to recognize, because guess what? They're going to get reminded. Yeah. But there's something different about going to a place where they know your name. Yeah. And there's a place I've gone. It's a little small coffee shop down in Medina that I've gone to for many years. And I walk in the door and they greet me by name.
Right.
They have thousands of customers.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm just one of the only bald ones. I'm not sure. But they're like, oh, hey, what's up, Andy? What do you want to have today? You want your usual? I'm like, wait, what? You know my usual too? And I'm here like maybe once a month, twice a month.
Yeah.
And you have thousands of people that you probably also know their name and their usual. Like, that's just very revealing about the intentionality behind leadership, ownership, the team dynamics, the expectations upon your team and your staff. And I will also say this about your store specifically. It is definitely going to help the neighborhood that you're in. Your neighborhood is not an easy neighborhood. Let's be honest.
Right.
So what is your hope and vision for having your establishment there, being this way there, impacting and ripple affecting? What are you hoping can happen in the community as a result of your participation and being so front-footed on all these efforts?
You always strive to do some type of change in your community. These little things, I want them to recognize us as, that we're there for them. We're there to help them in any way that we can, even though they come in and be our customer and purchase, but we're also giving back to them, to these nonprofits and to these organizations and to these families that live within the community. We just don't want to say, oh, that's Grocery Outlet's a store that they sell food or, products and things. But they also know that's Grocery Outlet. They helped our family. They donated some food. They donated Thanksgiving, the meals for the elderly, you know, and things like that. I want them to remember for the impact that we're doing for the local community, not just another retailer.
Right.
You know.
Well, because you could just be another retailer.
Correct. We could just be anyone else. And
yeah, but that's not. No, look, man, that's not in your makeup. Like, it's obvious that's not in your makeup.
Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, our DNA is a little bit different. You know, you'll see me on the floor, you know, and the store owner on the wall, walking on the floor and working next to my employees, greeting my customers, asking them if they need a basket. Sometimes they think I'm just another employee, and that's great.
Yeah.
And that's all I want them to know. I don't want, you know, I just want at the end of the day to get good customer service. I handed them over a basket so they can put the product in there, and if they can help them with anything else, I'm just there for that, you know?
Yeah.
So.
I think that's really commendable.
Fulfilling for me, you know, that makes me happy at the end of the day. That's what it is, you know.
Yeah. You seem to have, you're like right over the target. You like seem really to enjoy owning your store and running your store with your wife and like, it seems like it's very gratifying for you. But I know it's hard work. It's not easy. I don't know that anyone, I hope no one watching this goes, oh yeah, that's just super easy. You get up every day and your store's already there and you flip the lights on and all the products on the shelf. Right? No, it's not. Like, there's so much stuff that happens you have no clue about to make it all work.
I mean, a lot of planning goes behind the scenes, a lot of, you know, scheduling and making sure all the vendors are scheduled to come in and bring in products. So there's a lot of things happening in the back, and that's what it keeps it fun. You know, it's interesting every day.
Well, it keeps you on your toes. I mean, at least the fun part. You're gonna have to convince me harder on that
really
one.
Does.
But
you know, the hard work is there. You know, but you love it so much that it doesn't feel like that. You know, it really doesn't.
Well, you love something enough, it doesn't feel like work, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and every day is gonna be something different, something happening, and that's part of you know, it's just part of it, and I'm okay with that, and I'm happy with that. You know, and other than meeting new people, new customers, or, you know, the same customers that are coming back, and it's just fun. I really don't see it as a 9 to 5, and I'm like, God, I gotta go to work. And things like that. No way. It's very different. You know, it's got its pros and cons. You know, but at the end of the day, we're happy with what we're doing.
So I'm so glad to have you here so I can take all this time. Like, we can't have this conversation when, like, I've got a camera in my hand and you're doing inventory. This is perfect.
Right.
It is apparent to me that you deeply care about legacy. True or untrue?
True.
Okay. So I want you to talk as much as you want about legacy that you believe has been bestowed upon you, that you have accepted that torch, whether it's from your parents, grandparents, relatives, family, friends, other business leaders, whatever, even from your military experience, legacy you've received that you carry on to this day that you're also hoping to pass that torch of. Talk about that a little bit.
You know, growing up, I always watched my father when he came from Mexico, the kind of work that he did, hard labor, back-breaking labor in the fields, you know, and I was like, that gave me the foundation of hard work, you know, and I took that with me. You know, nothing's easy in life, nothing's given to you, and he always told us nothing's going to be given to you. You know, you got to work hard for it. So, you know, and that's what I've kind of implemented. You know, going through life is, I got to go get it. I got to work hard. It's not going to be given to me. And these are things that we're implementing now with our kids. You know, we have 2 daughters and a son. 9 and 7, the girls, you know, so, you know, I don't want them to feel like, oh, I can grab anything from the store. Well, hold on. We're going to work for it, you know? I want to make sure that they understand that nothing's given to them.
Right.
We got to work hard for it, and then we get rewarded for that. And so they come in, you know, for a couple hours, and they help, you know, stocking with us and putting prices and things. Very easy, you know, so that they can understand, you know, a little bit of hard work, and then we reward them, you know, get a little snack or candy and things like that. And so giving that perception and mindset for them to already begin to think that way, you know. And so I'm getting it from my father and what I saw from him, and kind of, you know, they didn't see that, you know, what my dad did, but they're seeing hard work as well, because they know grocery outlets, they know that we go to, you know, and they see us working, but then we bring them along as well to work.
Well, they'll be the ones saying that. Someday. I saw my dad and my mom work hard like that. Well, it's what you're hoping to pass on at least.
Correct. And that's the legacy that I hope I leave, and they remember, and I give them an ingredient of hard work, and they can carry that with them as well.
So I want to talk a little bit about Grocery Outlet, and then I have some other questions too.
Sure.
So let's talk about Grocery Outlet, kind of as a business, as a franchise. You had told me that this is your first store you've owned, but your experience with Grocery Outlet starts somewhere back in the timeline prior to all this.
Yeah, so getting introduced to Grocery Outlets. So I have a friend that owns another Grocery Outlet store, and I saw him go through the whole process of being an owner, operator of a grocery outlet, and that kind of interested me and intrigued me. I was like, how do you get into that, and how do you own a grocery outlet? So I went over there and poked him around. I was like, hey, how do you do that? And he basically, said, hey, let's go have lunch, and I'll kind of talk to you and let you know what it is. And he explains to me, it's not easy. It's not a given. You got to go through this training and things like that. So I was like, okay. So I went back to Karina. I was like, because at that time, she worked for another retailer, and I was doing something else. And I was like, hey, what do you think about owning a grocery store? And she just straight up laughed at me and saying, No. I was like,
really?
What? They're going to get your money and run with it. Don't believe that. I was like, well, no, because, I have my friend, that he owns the one, grocery outlet here in San Diego. He's like, why don't you go work grocery? Because you've never worked in the retail industry, and try it out and see if you like it. Don't just go with something that someone else said. How about you live it and do it and work it? I was like, well, that sounds like a good idea. Okay.
That's some sage wisdom right there.
So, because, where she worked at, Aldi's, I'll say the retailer, I tell them they sit there and just go like this, past
yeah.
She's like, no. She's like, no, we do more than that, So that's why she was like, you need to go work it, go study it, and go see what it is.
She's probably like gritting her teeth. You need to go try it.
Yeah.
You try it first.
Exactly. So I was like, okay. So then I went back to, my friend and was like, hey, I want to work it. Don't pay me. I'll come after my job, and I'll come here for a couple hours and work it and see if something that I like. Mm-hmm. He's okay. Yeah, sure. Come in. So for about a good month, I go out, to a store, and I'm, stocking things and putting prices and, cashiering, and I was like, okay, well, it's work. I can do this, I think I see myself doing it long term. I like hard work. It's not something new to me. So yeah, I'm interested. So, and during that time that I was there, one of the executives for Grocery Outlet walks in, and my friend, his name is Christian, he's like, hey, I want you to meet this gentleman, and he's from Grocery Outlet Executives, and he's one of the guys from recruiting and things like that. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. I was like, hey, this is Ernesto. He's interested in the program with Grocery Outlet. He's interested in maybe, getting his own store one day, and he's been coming in his own time. He's not, and he comes and helps me and talks, and the gentleman said, you want to go have lunch? And I'm like, sure, let's go have lunch. And we went to the taco shop next door, and we spoke, and I kind of, he picked my brain and kind of, talked about, what I did and my experiences. I told him, I was military, I was a warehouse manager. I have my bachelor's degree in business. And then I told him about Karina. She has a lot of retail experience.
His mind is like, check.
Yeah, check. Yeah, exactly.
Another check box. Okay.
It kind of checked off, and next thing you know, he invited us to a mixer up in Long Beach, California, to kind of meet other executives and kind of get together and kind of mingle, and they wanted to
so they could check you out.
Yeah, more. Yeah, right. And I'm like, okay, this is moving fairly fast, And
it's like being invited over to the family's house for Christmas dinner.
Right,
I'm the new guy. Yeah, come over for family dinner.
I was like, hey, they're inviting us over to this mixer. She's like,
yeah.
What? What do you mean? I was like, no, I have my job.
Wow.
I have my job here. And she's like, no. I was like, no, this is an opportunity, to be entrepreneurs and have our own business. We always, because we did want our own business, me and Karina. We just didn't know what. Right. And so and she was like, no. She's like, yes, let's go. Wow. So then, we went over there to the mixer, and they introduced us, and we met a lot of people. We spoke to them. They picked our brains and our experiences. And the fact that we together had, those experiences, in retail, and I had, more of logistics and bachelor's degree, military, had a good foundation. Yep. And they're like, hey, maybe these guys are onto something.
You're kind of hitting all the marks of like what would create an accomplished store owner, like all of these things. Here it is.
Exactly. So, a couple of days later, come by and we get a phone call. I was like, hey, are you interested in going into the program? And we're like, what? I was like, hold on, I have my job, and you have your job. What are we gonna do? This is where these opportunities come, and these are the decisions you have to make in life, right? Mm-hmm. These are sometimes they just come out of nowhere and they happen, and you got to make a decision. Mm-hmm. You let go of everything, but you feel comfortable. We're fine. We're okay. We have 2 great jobs. We didn't need to move or do anything. Or you take a leap of faith and go into entrepreneurship road, and you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it was the best decision of our lives, and we decided to go into the program.
Many years ago, I wrote a devotional about a trapeze artist where you're swinging on one side and you're kind of holding on. But then in order to get to the other part, you have to let go. And sometimes you're kind of flying midair before they grab you and they catch arms and lock, right? It was around the same time that I actually had tried that, and it is pretty scary. But also, it's in a controlled environment, so it wasn't like dangerous. But like you're upside down, and you have to like stretch out, reach out, and then you have to let your legs go to catch the other person on the other side trying to catch you. Right. And making a big decision like that in entrepreneurship is very much the same, which is why I wrote it. So sometimes you have to go from the place where you feel comfortable and you're secure, quote unquote, and let go, and then grab onto the other thing that takes you to the other side.
To the other side.
Yeah. And not to like overplay the analogy, but it sounds like that's kind of exactly what you guys had to do in that scenario where you're letting go of all these other things. You both have jobs, and this opportunity comes, and here comes the opportunity. Are you going to let go and grab on and go? Right. And you did. That's amazing.
It was scary. It was one of the scary decisions we had to make. We had our 2 daughters were 1 and 3 at the time. They were very young.
Oh man, you're in the thick of it at 1 and 3.
Golly, it was. But we knew in our hearts, if we worked hard, we spoke about this. We are hard workers, and if we put 100% to this, we're gonna win. We just gotta give it everything that we got, and we're gonna make it through. And one of the biggest decisions is why we said yes was control of time. Mm. We wanted control of our time, and when you become an entrepreneur, it's not like you have someone say, hey, we got to be here at 9, go to lunch, go to break.
Yeah.
So we wanted more control of our time, having more time for our daughters. It wasn't going to be immediately, but in the long run, we were looking long term. Like, hey, now sitting here today, have you said, do we have control of our time? Yes, we do.
That's one of the things that gets upsold a lot about being an entrepreneur. Oh, you can do whatever you want, whenever you want. That's not always true, first of all. But for most people, I should say, want some facet of that or some version of that as part of why they want to go do their own thing. Yeah. But for most people, it's elusive and it just escapes them, and they never actually get that. How did you manage to get that?
The first couple years is understanding how to be an entrepreneur, because you have your bachelor's degree and all that, but that's one thing, that's fine. But going through real life scenarios, dealing with your employees, new employees, training, creating new training manuals, creating a team that can run each department individually, but then overseeing everything in a big operation like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had experience managing employees, but it wasn't my company, so right. I wasn't fully, okay, we could just.
There's some similarities, but it's different.
But it's very different. Yeah. Now, you gotta everything in the store is you. You control all that. So understanding, your employees, understanding trainings for them, so that in the long run, when they can run their own departments, it kind of gives you time to
frees you up a little bit here, a little bit there.
Correct. Yeah. And as you get better doing that, you do get that time, but it takes time to build that team. Mm-hmm. And so now that we're at our store, 3 years, we've developed a team where they can manage themselves.
Yeah.
Obviously, yes, we go in there here and there, but overall we've developed a good team like that.
Well, yeah, of course you would have had to in order for that to be the outcome, and there also takes a a good amount of trust on those people. Like they have to earn the trust, right? You have to show me that you can be responsible with what I'm going to hand to you. Yes. But then you trust that after you even do that, you trust it's going to work out. Right. And you're still going to get a call here and there. Like I still get calls every once in a while, like, oh, hey, this thing's kind of happening. What do I do? Well, this is a function of them not knowing in that exact scenario. Right. And most of the times, I don't know what to do either, because it's a problem that we've never had before.
Right.
So I go, you know what? I actually don't know. Give me 10 minutes. Let me figure this out. I'll call you back, because I have no idea. I got to look something up, research something, find out what the technical whatever is.
Right.
And there have been taking equipment everywhere and shooting and recording. Just things are bound to happen. And they happen, and you go, well, this isn't on them. It just happened. They don't know. I don't know either. I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah. and it's happened. It does. And a lot of the times I tell them, it's okay to make a decision. If you make a mistake, it is what it is. Obviously, if it's something bigger than that, beyond them that they can't understand, then at that point, yes, give me a call. But day-to-day routine things, it's okay to make the decision. Now, if it wasn't the right one, okay. Now we learn from that, and you can, next time, you know what to do. You know, so I let them do that. Yeah, make decisions. It's okay. Mm-hmm. So they can become more confident and surround themselves, and not being afraid to do certain things and calling, because at a certain point you don't want them to it could be 10 o'clock at night and it's like, hey.
There's things you have to empower people to make decisions on their own because they're capable and responsible. Yeah. That also makes sure we're not over micromanaging people.
Right.
But then also, I don't want you to call me for everything, because you don't need me for everything. Right. Sometimes it's a matter of that person believing in them as much as I believe in them.
Correct. It really, you gotta, I believe in you, buddy. It's okay. And it really helps. It helps them develop them and become more confident. And you see them grow as a person, and you see them grow as leads and managers. And that's another fulfiller. It's like, man, look at this guy. He's getting better, and he's making decisions. And it's making my life easier as well. That's where that time is growing for me and my family. I can step away. I can step away right now and be here. Mm-hmm. And I know the store's going to run because I have a good team that's there right now,
Yeah.
And it's a couple days from Christmas. It's crazy over there right now.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure that coming here right now is a little bit welcome. Like, oh yeah, I'll leave here for a couple of minutes.
Yeah. Now if we go back 4 years and I'm my first year, I probably wouldn't know. Yeah, I got.
You're still figuring out a lot out. You're still figuring everything out at that point.
Right. So so all these things, developing your team, training, and letting them make mistakes and things like that. And you learn these things as you go on, being an entrepreneur. And every day I learn something as well. If you're not learning, then something's wrong. You got to learn something.
Well, I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that the reason I was introduced to you is because of a mutual friend of ours, Martha Winnell with Aflac. Yeah. Yes. And, you are someone who I don't know if you know this whole story or not, but, at our business networking group, I had been talking about all these case studies of kind of content we're making and podcasts and shows and all these things. Yeah. And she says, Andy, I have this amazing client and he cares about his employees so much. And this is what he did for them. And this is how he, got our service to give them and help them with supplemental insurance. And she was telling me about you. She was bragging about you. And so Martha was like, I am going to have you interview him. And because he's too humble to talk about himself. Is her words.
I really don't say, even in my store when I walk around and I'm helping my customers, I don't tell them who I am, and I'm just another person in the building.
I know you don't think it's necessary to announce who you are, and that's fine. Yeah. That's perfectly acceptable.
Unless if it's someone new and I have the conversation goes more in depth, and I kind of let them know who we are.
Sure.
But other than that, I'm just walking around. I'm the guy that's getting all the baskets outside and things like that.
You walk around with a healthy dose of humility, I've noticed. Right. And so when Martha was like, here's my idea, I was like, I'm 100% in. I'm down. And so I think there's also part of this that Martha and I did not tell you. And there's a part that we did not tell you is that we had a anonymous donor pay me extra money to make you a commercial.
Oh, wow. Really?
So when I was in your store recording everything, it's actually not for this podcast.
Oh, wow. Really?
The podcast is just a podcast. We're just interviewing each other. We had someone toss in additional funds after hearing about what you guys are doing, and I'm going to be delivering to you guys a 30-second like television grade commercial for your store to use however you want. And I don't want any, I'm not looking for any credit for it, is because of what you guys have done and you putting yourself in the community and all the things we talked about today.
Wow, thank you so much. Yeah.
I told our donor, I have this amazing story.
Wow, thank you.
And he was like, he's like, go make it.
Wow. Man. Now I kind of feel like when, the customers on the receiving end, I was like, wow, it feels so good. I totally appreciate that. Wow. I wasn't expecting that. Jeez,
yeah, so
thank you so much.
I had to lie to you a little bit
to
come to the store and get all that footage when we were recording the other day.
I was like, okay, it's a couple pictures, It's great. Yeah, it's okay,
I was like, man, I hope he doesn't watch a lot of podcasts. He's like, store footage isn't part of podcasts. I was like, man, he's going to pick up on this. I hope he doesn't pick up on this.
I had no idea.
Okay, good. And I wasn't trying to play you for a fool, for a fool neither.
No, thank you so much. Wow. Thank you.
So happy early Christmas. Merry early Christmas.
Absolutely. I'm going to tell Karina. Like, wow.
You are being gifted not only by Martha, but by also another anonymous person to not only have this and do this for you and for your brand, but also for your store, to bring you some more visibility to the store, maybe bring some new interest back to the store in the area.
Right.
I know the area's gone through a lot of changes. Yes. As I told you before we started today, we started our business in that same neighborhood. Almost 20 years ago now, like 18 years ago now. That neighborhood is not the easiest, let's be honest.
It needs a little help, but we just got to make sure we communicate with the right people in our community, leaders, and to get that going.
So you are believing that your impact in the community, you can make great strides, as are we. So Martha, myself, our other friend, are all believing in what you guys are doing, and this has been really kind of fun because I've been like sitting on this for weeks.
Oh, really?
I've been sitting on this for weeks.
I had no clue at all.
I'm like, man, I can't tell him until I can actually tell him.
Wow. Yeah, no.
So, Merry Christmas and happy early New Year to you guys. I don't know what you're going to do
for my family, for our customers, because this is for all of them, at the end of the day, because we're a community down there. Yeah.
Yeah, you really are. Yeah. And that's important, I think, to have people like you, exactly you guys, but also other businesses just like you down there in that area that can really use quality service, great products, good pricing, and people who really care about the people that are coming to patron at their place. So you guys are doing an outstanding job. Congratulations. Also thank you for being down there and doing what you're doing.
Thank you, Andy. Appreciate this.
Yeah.
I do.
So I want to ask you two last things. Okay. And they're kind of like, and these are kind of more for my own interest and curiosity. I think hands down one of the greatest interviews of all time would have been Larry King. Right? I mean, he had a desk, and he had his suspenders and his glasses, and he'd look at you.
Yeah, I remember that.
I'm certainly not that, but I really admire so much of the way he did things. So I have my own question I've made up, and I have one of his I'm going to ask you. Okay. So my own question is, if I put you in the middle of a sports arena and there's 100,000 people there, and I hand you the mic, and they go, Ernesto, you get to thank anyone you want. Who would you thank, and what would you say?
First of all, I would thank God. He's the first person I would thank. A lot of these things, he gives us obstacles, and then he gives us, rewards and all, and gives us health, gives us my family, gives us everything, and he's the first person that I thank. And second, my wife, Karina, she's been she's my partner. And that was a tough question. Sorry. Good thing she's not here.
Something you don't know while you're thinking about what you want to say. I also have been provided a helpmate, as the word says. And your helpmate is there for exactly that, your help and your mate. And our job as husbands and fathers is to be good stewards of what was been bestowed upon us, which includes our leadership of our family, leadership of our communities, leadership in our friendships, our circles, and our places of influence. And having a good helpmate is often overlooked and often underthanked. Right. So I understand why you're choked up, number one. Yeah. Number two, you do not know this. This year, well, I guess 2024, my helpmate was diagnosed with cancer. Oh. And part of our walk together was walking through that and seeing the other side of that and reflecting on all the wonderful things that have happened in our life, but using that also as a launch pad for other people to have a look into the window of her life of faith that has helped lead them to a place where they didn't think they could be either. Right. And so I understand the emotional response of wanting to thank your wife for those things because of the things I'm mentioning, but also so many things that just go.
She does a lot for her family, for the business. I mean, she's there from the beginning, the hard times, she takes care of the kids, takes care of the home. Couldn't have asked for a better partner. And that's why I got, nobody's asked me that kind of question, but I'm also happy that I can recognize her, here. And I tell her, she's, I couldn't have chosen someone better than her. And those, and then there's a lot of people I can thank, mom and dad, they've taught me a lot in life. And, there's a group of us from veterans that we knew each other from years back, from when every year we get together and we meet in a certain city where we pick a city, and it's 4 veterans, and one lives in North Carolina, the other one lives in Tennessee, I live in San Diego, and we all meet once a year and we get together. And those guys, we always talk about everything. Anything that we need, we help each other. We're a call away. And those are, good friends of mine. And obviously now you guys, thank you so much for this. This is awesome. I had no idea you guys said, this year I just thought, okay, he's going to come and take a couple pictures, we're going to have an interview, and that's it. I didn't really think much of this at all. And wow, it turned out to be something awesome. Really. Well,
my friend Martha told me that you and your wife are very special people. And when someone who I think is a special person tells me that they know someone special also, my ear is inclined to want to know more. And I already feel like I know you guys so well, even in their short interactions, but for the depth of what you shared already. Yeah. And also, again, I'm a keen observer of what's going on. I've been in business for nearly 20 years. I can see what's happening. I can see you operate. I saw both of you guys, and not just through the lens because I'm there secretly recording things. I was there because I'm interested in you as the people and as the owners and as the community contributors and all those things. And I always know there's more to the story, and I'm so grateful for you being willing to share that. Yeah, because I know that sometimes, unless inclined to do so, we just don't.
Right. Yeah. I opened the door, and it's okay. Sometimes nobody's ever asked me to open this door, so it's good to open it up a little bit and let people know who we are, and what we are, and what we do. It's not to brag or nothing. It's just here, come into my house.
Yeah, there's something that we, encounter as a family company. I had told you for many years, we've had a finance company that we have done loans for active duty military and veterans. And, sometimes people, they have the wrong idea about that. Oh, it's just for money. Yeah, not at all. The thing about it is that, I think I had shared this with you at the store, up the family line. Our great Uncle Henry was a USS Arizona survivor. So on D-Day, when USS Arizona was bombed, he jumped off and lived all the way till 2012. So, and then we have had family members on multiple sides of the family serve in every conflict since then. Wow. So for us, doing something within the military space for active duty and for military is highly personal for us. Right. And beyond that, I want people to be able to win using the benefit they've earned. Correct. And there's a way to do that without it being about us and without it being this thing that, you're just doing that to be rich or whatever. It's like, it's not even about that. It's so not about that. Yeah. But how many people can I help do it? Like, that's the thing. How many people can I help put a healthy meal on the table? Right. How many people can I help at the food bank by donating and giving excess food that we're just not going to sell? Right. How many staff members can I impact that they're going to impact their own family or their own neighborhood or their own whatever by being a good leader at my job? And like, that's that same like similarity that I'm like, I see this in you.
Yes.
And I was like, I know I'm gonna love this guy.
You hit every.
I love this guy.
I mean, it's not about the money. I mean, those things just bring comfort and you can provide for your family, but the game changer here is the impact you're doing with your customers, your employees, your community, and seeing their faces, and you're there live and seeing these changes. It's just fulfilling. I mean, and you got to be there to understand what I'm saying. I mean, it's the best feeling in the world. It really is. Money, yeah, that comes and goes. That's temporary, but these things it's forever.
Yeah.
These people will remember you for the rest of their lives,
Yeah. You're making an impact in their life.
Correct. And that's why we do what we do.
Yeah. My final question. This is my Larry King question.
Okay.
Dead or alive, who would you want to share a meal with?
Dead or alive? I think about a lot of John F. Kennedy.
Oh, really?
Some reason,
no one's ever said that.
John F. Kennedy, my mom grew up in the 60s, and she always spoke about John F. Kennedy, that he was a good president, And my dad, I'll share a story from my dad. He said when he was a kid in Mexico, this is in Mexico and Jalisco, that when John F. Kennedy was president, during that time, he said that he would get a hot meal for breakfast every day. And he said once they assassinated him, it all stopped.
Whoa, wait, what?
Yes, he always
like
tells
direct line correlation.
Yeah, I mean, he's a kid from Mexico that had no idea, didn't know the United States, has never been to the United States, but he knew John F. Kennedy because of the meals that they would get. He says, I remember getting fed at breakfast. He would get like a piece of bread with beans and a glass of milk.
Yeah.
That was their meal.
That actually kind of sounds good right now. I could go for that right now.
And he said, and once they assassinate him, it all stopped. No more meals.
Really?
And that's kind of like, and I was like, oh, that's a person that it would intrigue me. I would sit down and ask him, and talk to him and kind of pick his brain and how he thought. And I look at the history and you see all the other stuff, but he's an interesting person that I would have a conversation.
That's a very cool answer.
Yeah.
No one's ever said that. I've had a lot of. I mean, you can imagine.
That's a good question.
There's a wide variety of answers you could give.
There's thousands of people, right? That you could think of, but the one people because of the story that my dad told me, and my mom always talked about him.
Yeah.
Growing up as a kid in the '60s, and that kind of stuck in the back of my hand. It's like that's a good person to talk to.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that's a story that my dad always told us. He always remembers that. He said. Pretty cool.
Wow.
Huh?
That's pretty awesome, man. I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. Yeah. I really have to thank
I thought
you.
It was gonna be more nerve-wracking, I think, but I felt comfortable.
Man,
You opened up some feelings that maybe I needed to open up and and kind of share that with my wife and things like that.
I was just interested in you from the beginning when Martha had told me how wonderful you guys are. So I was already in right when she said that. And when I had met you and your wife down at the store, and even in just our short interaction, I was like, man, I really like these folks. I really like you guys.
Thank you.
And so thank you for showing up. Some people will say no to this. Yeah. No, I don't want to go. The camera, the light. I don't want to. But thank you for showing up. And letting this be a part of your story.
Yeah, it's okay to open and share my story, and hopefully they enjoy it.
It is, and I'm this is something you don't know about me, but I love promoting people that are doing great things, and so for me this is very gratifying to be able to come and see you guys operate, meet you in person, and then even do this right now, because I can so confidently and competently talk about you and about your store and all the great things you're doing by seeing it and witnessing it firsthand. So. Congratulations.
Thank you, Andy.
I'm so glad to be new friends.
Yeah,
this is not the end of our friendship. This actually, I'm gonna pitch this right here. No pressure, but I think you should talk about leadership on some more shows maybe sometime because I kind of feel like you're walking around with a lot of gems in there.
I have, what I've learned along the way, things that I picked up here and there, and who knows? You never
Well,
know.
I'll ask the questions and you can give the answers. That way you don't have to feel like you're being too braggadocious about it.
Right.
You can just tell me from your experience.
That works,
Well,
yeah.
You'll be like a walking case study. You can
Correct.
just tell me stories
Real
of
life scenarios. And
yeah,
things
exactly.
Like that.
And that's where they
open.
exist. They happen all the time, and when we capture them, we can share them with people.
Correct.
It makes a great impact across where all these things are seen. So, Ernesto, thank you so much for coming to meet me at the studio today. Thank you to Grocery Outlet. Oh, you're welcome. This has been a pleasure for me. I've loved doing
And
this.
for the donor, I mean, with the bottom of my heart and from our family, from our business, thank you so much for that donation.
Yeah,
Awesome.
This has been a lot of fun for me.
you.
Thanks again for being here. And for all of you who have not yet checked out the Grocery Outlet down in San Ysidro, if you are down in South San Diego or you're even nearby within a 5, 10, 15-minute drive, go check out Ernesto and Karina over there at Grocery Outlet in San Ysidro. The information will be in the description box below with their address and their store location and hours. And if you have any interest in meeting him in person, I'm sure you can call the store. They can come and say hi, and he'll even give you a cart at the door and maybe even help you find all the things you're looking for in his store. So thank you, Ernesto.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Andy.
it. Best to
Thank
you.
you, buddy.
Thank you, Ray. See ya.